Some news just coming across the wire. Now, this was a lot of people speculated this was coming for a couple of reasons. One, because yesterday, Mike White went from full practice to limited practice yesterday. So that was a little bit off-putting for the Jets. And then all of a sudden, the line swung from the Dolphins being dogs to favorites. And that is because starting on Sunday for the New York Jets, Joe Flacco.
Oh,
hey, Flacco is back.
Hey, we can have a neck off and just start glenning.
It is Joe Flacco versus Skylar. I assume Skylar Thompson because we don't even know that yet officially, but it seems like it's going to be Skylar Thompson. Zach Wilson is the backup this week.
Wow. Would we almost prefer Zach Wilson, or like I don't know how I feel, to be honest.
I don't know. You got a guy with more experience for sure, but I mean it's Joe Flacco.
It's Joe Flacco.
It's Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't know. The old Joe Flacco with maybe they bring in Kiko Alonso to do the coin toss.
No.
You know, bring him back. Kiko's got to be hanging around here somewhere at like an MMA gym or something, right?
He's the last guy before Phillips that I saw tackle like the Titanic.
It was such a damage is done move by Kiko Alonso.
So stupid, right? Like you get there, you're trying so hard not to hit a guy.
Yeah. Well, Kiko Alonso, I mean, you know, a lot of hits that Kiko Alonso. So, there you go. Joe Flacco starting this weekend against the Miami Dolphins, presumably against Skylar Thompson, although I believe we will hear from Mike McDaniel later this morning and get official word on that, but he has been doing things. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater's got the finger. They have a giraffe there in case of emergency.
You know what sucks? The thing that sucks about this weekend is Kansas City plays on Saturday.
Yep. Yeah, I don't like the Saturday games the final weekend. I don't like that they.
But here's the deal, though. That I think regardless of what happens with Kansas City, I think the players, the coaches, and the city of Buffalo need football to get them back, on track.
Yeah,
and sure. So from that standpoint, I wonder when they're gonna bring DeMar back home. He's been there all week.
I don't know. I don't know what the what the best protocol for that is.
I don't know. I got to tell you, if he's just breathing on his own, I would hate to put him up there in that thin air in a plane. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm no doctor. Just sounds a little. I don't know. Hang out a couple more days.
It's just great to hear that the first steps of it is
him talking to his team. And,
apparently, like the reports are saying, like the room was going crazy when it happened. So that's really really cool to see.
I wonder if he surprised them.
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. Today's. I'm sure there's video of it. Those NFL teams.
We got an update We got an update in Cincinnati, and then DeMar just shows up on the screen. Oh my goodness. That room probably went bat bleep crazy. Good for them, man. Good for DeMar. His mom has to be a nervous wreck. His family, just to see him progressing. That's good. Happy for him.
So let's get to this. So there's this kind of picked up over the blogs. It got a little bit of traction on Twitter. Then like Barstool posted it. And that was a blurb from Armando Salguero, who now writes for Outkick, but of course was a Miami Dolphins columnist for 25 years. What was it? Like Armando has on the job forever.
Last thing I remember him saying.
I mean, the last thing we remember him saying was Justin Herbert reminded him of Ryan Tannehill. And I believe we had him on before the draft. And he said, if there was one guy you couldn't see, who would it be? And he told us Jalen Waddle. I ended up taking Jalen Waddle because you had Slim Reaper and you had who the hell's that tight end who doesn't do anything for the Falcons?
Oh, Pitts.
Yeah, I had him in fantasy this year. He didn't do squat. No, he did not. But I gave up in fantasy like week 4. What do we have to pay for that?
I don't know.
When's the collector coming for that?
Whoever wins, they'll let you know.
I mailed it in.
Yeah,
I mailed it in
You
after
mailed it in.
I mailed it in.
Guys, can I
I
say the
mailed it in
bottom?
I mailed it in when I missed a bye week and had 4 players playing. I'm like, what?
But that being said, like, look, Armando's obviously got a pulse of the organization. You know, he's been covering the team for a long time, knows a lot of people around the organization, things like that. So do with this what you will. But he did an article for Outkick, and it said NFL hot seat, coach, GM, quarterback changes possible with Cardinals, Dolphins, Commanders, Jets, Bucks, and more. And under the Dolphins category, this is what he had to say. If they win their season finale and sneak into the playoffs, owner Stephen Ross might look the other way with those 5 consecutive December-January losses because it'll feel more like a skid than a collapse. But if the Dolphins go from 8-3 to 8-9 and not in the playoffs, everybody's job is at risk.
Nope. That's a lie.
Well, yeah,
He's wrong. He's wrong.
General manager Chris Greer made a dozen bold moves in 2022, taking a step backwards and out of the playoffs was nowhere near what Ross expected. The quarterback Greer drafted is not durable. Bradley Chubb, whom Greer added in the trade, has not delivered. And many of the first-round picks that Greer had led to one question: where's the playoffs? First-year coach Mike McDaniel, great guy, but what happened to rallying the team late in the year? Stop the bleeding. What makes him a better choice than making another run at Sean Payton? If McDaniel survives, there's no guarantee for defense coordinator Josh Boyer, according to a club source. Finally, the Dolphins have a decision to make on Tua Tagovailoa. Are they willing to run it back with him as the starter when he's unable to stay healthy? And let's just say Aaron Rodgers really meant what he said 2 weeks ago about playing in Miami. If that's serious, Ross will be intrigued. Here's the one thing with this column. I saw this Aaron Rodgers clip that went semi-viral with Dolph fans because they thought that in the clip he said it sound because it does kind of, he talks fast and it sounds like he says I'd love to play for. He didn't say that. He said we took on a team that had a lot to play for. Not that I love to play for. But like some Dolphins fans were thinking that he said it so fast they thought, did I just hear Aaron Rodgers say that I'd love to hear him play for the Dolphins? He would never say that. Why would he say that? Why would you think he said that?
I know.
Why would they do that?
Why would he say? He wouldn't say that.
Right.
He said that they had a lot to play for. But anyway, getting back to it. So you say lie. No shot that Mike McDaniel gets fired. No shot Chris Greer gets fired?
No.
Because he's been around forever?
No, it's not that. It's like, contrary to popular belief, you can make the right move and it not work out. And we tend to look at all these situations and hang playoffs or bust as success or failure. And I would say, if there's any question that I'll give him, right, it's on Tua and his durability. But other than that, like, they won some games. They won a lot of games early, but they've been banged up all year, right? Like the way that defense has held it together, and with what Jalen Phillips and Christian Wilkins have done up front, it's amazing. And I just want to see them have the team with the support in the secondary that they thought that they would have.
Mm-hmm.
And then go from there. It's hard to not look at the results and not to look at and understand the circumstances. And you get anxious. You get antsy.
I think that I do believe that if anybody's going to get fired, it's going to be Josh Boyer. Because if they do lose, they don't make the playoffs, there will certainly be a fall guy. And the whole and I don't even know if I necessarily disagree with it. Their defensive numbers have not been good this year. Even though in the losing streak, I don't think that they carry the lion's share of the blame. They also didn't come through in late game situations, a lot of one-score losses. And Josh Boyer wasn't Mike McDaniel's hire. Like, he didn't hire him. They just held him over from Flores, which is kind of a weird thing. And the whole point of it was, we're just going to
defense.
Have the same defense. Now, to Boyer's defense, yes, there have been injuries,
You
but
got to consider it, even though I agree 100% what you're saying, because when it gets down to it, when they have that end of the year conversation, here's what's going to happen. What do you want to do defensively? I want to get somebody in here from San Francisco that, I know can run a great defensive
right
plan.
Right.
And that's going to be the conversation. And what it does is, all right, we'll give you a year with your guy. When the fact of the matter is that the biggest concern is keeping Tua healthy and not have him,
for sure,
fall
and
on the back of his head every other play.
And look, I think I'd like to see what a full, like when you don't have your starting quarterback for a quarter of the season, I would like to see. And maybe you could say, hey, Tobin, you can't count on that. But ideally, I'd like to see what does a full season of Tua and Mike McDaniel look like? What does this end up? Because it felt like it was going really great. It felt like it was.
And
the one thing I can't rule out, though, why I can't completely rule out Armando's thought or just throwing this out there is this wasn't Stephen Ross's first choice. He wanted Sean Payton and Tom Brady. Mike McDaniel was a backup plan, and he just fired a coach with a winning record. So I don't know what he's going to do. I can't rule it out.
Was
I don't
it different
agree with
reasons, though? Different reasons?
Certainly.
Like when
but
here.
But Leroy, shocking nonetheless.
Right.
We were all shocked that day.
Yes, we were. But I would say this is that Mike McDaniel and his personality would allow you to be more patient with him than you were with Brian Flores, because Brian Flores was deemed as like a hard ass, right? And so from that standpoint, I always look at coaches and how they go about things, and if everybody seems to like them, it usually gives you an additional year, another couple of years, right? You know who's one of the nicest guys, and I've told you this over and over again, one of my favorite coaches, Marvin Lewis. Right? Like, he's like one of the nicest dudes. Denny was like that. Denny didn't, even though he got upset at times, he wasn't that guy that, was going to pull Bill Belichick. Right? And look at Bill Belichick in Cleveland. Like, coaches don't get fired from teams and go on to have the success that Bill Belichick has had. It doesn't happen. Usually that guy ends up like Andy Reid, 10, 15 years with one franchise. But nobody really liked Bill Belichick. Then he started winning and all the same things became cute and funny.
I still don't know.
You don't have to like him, but you got to respect his game. Right? You don't have to like him. You got to respect what the man has done as a football coach. Even if you don't like him. That's fine.
We'll take a quick break. 15 minutes of heat coming on up. Before the end of this hour, I want to get this out early because, it is weekend plans. I want people to have their weekend plans. Before the end of this hour, we will give away a pair of Heat and Nets tickets for Sunday night, 6 Sunday. What do you consider 6 p.m.? 6? You consider that night or afternoon? What do you consider that?
Early evening.
Put Heat versus Nets.
If you look into a restaurant and there's old people eating in it, that's early evening.
We will give that away coming up
before
young
whippersnappers get into the restaurant. That's considered night.
I have an idea. All right.
Yeah.
I like to call this for 15 minutes of heat. Hear me out. That's next.